Pop Task Force was created to watch Sean Puffy Combs, P. Diddy, to watch the artists that was connected with P. Diddy.
A lot of corny man. A lot of corny rappers, man. I'm just like, yo, man. I could name a list of 100 corny rappers, yo, right now. Mad from New York. They ain't supposed to be rapping. I mean, who really like these? Who really like these? Tell me, I want to know.
The devil in God's country. You know, and it's not so much who, it's what, you know, what happened.
3 conversations with the devil. Why with the devil?
Well, to make a fair decision, I think you have to be aware of both sides. And I was approached, so of course I had a conversation. It doesn't mean I rode with him or believed him. I just was able to recognize him by what he said to me and what he offered me.
Welcome back. Let's spill the tea on today's biggest celebrity stories. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to get your daily dose of scandal and glamour. Back when hip-hop was raw, real, and straight from the streets, not chopped into viral TikToks and 10-second clips, interviews used to mean something. But now, some of the most legendary convos have mysteriously vanished, like they never even happened. Entire interviews, gone. Videos deleted off YouTube without a trace. Audio files scrubbed clean like someone hit the panic button. And every time an artist tried to shine a light on the shady business happening behind the scenes, boom, silenced. It's not just random nobodies either. We're talking about DMX and Prodigy from Mobb Deep, 2 icons who weren't afraid to speak their truth. They didn't just throw hints, they called names. DMX and Prodigy straight up pointed fingers at heavyweights like Diddy and Jay-Z, saying there were bigger forces pulling the strings, real puppet masters operating in the shadows. And guess what? Those interviews? Practically erased from history. You can search all you want. Most of that footage is wiped clean, like someone wanted it buried, because what they exposed, it shook the foundation of the entire industry. Ask yourself this. If they were just talking nonsense, why would their voices be erased so fast? Nah, this ain't a coincidence. The truth they dropped hit too close to the throne, and the people on top weren't having it. DMX didn't just bark on tracks. He warned us in interviews about a whole system built on control, pressure, and twisted deals. He spoke on an industry where powerful figures keep artists trapped, and every time the topic came up, the same names always popped up. Diddy and Jay-Z, over and over again. And then there's Prodigy, a man who never held his tongue. He straight up exposed what he called a hidden network, a group of power players pulling strings behind the curtain, not just in hip-hop, not just in Hollywood, but running parts of society itself. It wasn't just about record deals. It was deeper than that. Now here's where it gets shady. Most of the footage where they spilled these truths vanished, cleaned off the internet like it never existed. But a few rare clips still survived, and we're gonna dive into them. Because what these two were trying to expose might explain why someone worked so hard to silence them. Let's rewind to 2007. DMX stepped onto HBO's Def Poetry Jam and dropped a poem called The Industry. That wasn't just art, it was a warning shot. X went off, calling out how the music world pressures artists to either sell their soul or get pushed out. He didn't sugarcoat anything. He laid it out plain. He was telling us that the game ain't just dirty, it's designed to break people down, and not everyone makes it out alive. DMX wasn't just calling out shady contracts or crooked record deals. Nah, he believed this was part of something way deeper, a full-blown spiritual war happening behind the scenes of the music industry. In both his tracks and interviews, X kept it real. He talked about facing off with the devil, not just metaphorically, but literally. He hinted that some top dogs in the game were moving with dark energy, like their whole purpose was to push artists into selling their souls for fame and fortune. And one of the most jaw-dropping moments? In 2013, X pulled up on Dr. Phil and said, dead serious, that he didn't have just one, but 3 separate encounters with the devil. He told the world that to really understand life, you've got to see both the good and the evil, and then choose your own path. But here's where it gets even crazier. This wasn't the first time he dropped a bomb like that. Back in 2009, locked up in Arizona, DMX did an interview from jail and claimed he met the devil in what he called God's country. He didn't drop names, but you could hear it in his voice. Whatever went down had him shook. He said it plain, I'm never going back there again. Whatever X saw, it left a scar. And it sure wasn't just about music. This was something way darker. So what did DMX really mean when he said he met the devil in Arizona? Was it just a metaphor for temptation? Or was he dropping a veiled warning about something much darker? Some believe X had a face-to-face run-in with someone offering him one of those deals, the kind where fame and fortune come with invisible chains, a deal where the price ain't just your image, it's your soul. And DMX, being who he was, might have been forced to choose, play the game or stand firm. And let's not ignore the names X boldly called out over the years. Jay-Z, Diddy, and top execs like Liar Cohen. These weren't small fries. These were untouchable industry titans back then, and DMX didn't care. He was calling them out directly. In one rare interview, X even straight up accused Diddy of R-wording his artists. Yeah, you heard that right. And it wasn't just vague shade. He pointed fingers at some disturbing behavior behind closed doors at Bad Boy Records. Some fans think X was talking about financial exploitation, but with the wave of recent allegations against Diddy, others believe he meant it literally, and that he saw something he was never supposed to speak on. And then there's the Jay-Z beef. After Hav became president of Def Jam in 2004, DMX said things shifted. He claimed Jay blocked the release of his 6th album, Year of the Dog, again out of spite, because Jay decided not to retire and didn't want to deal with competition. In DMX's eyes, this wasn't just music politics. It was sabotage from the top, a power play to push him out and keep the spotlight locked in one direction. But DMX's beef with Jay-Z ran way deeper than label drama. What really had X fuming was who Jay was aligned with behind closed doors, especially big shots like Liar Cohen. That's the same dude who admitted to pushing drug culture through the very artists he signs, even though he knows it's wrecking lives and fueling the opioid crisis. Let that sink in. This man knows it's damaging entire communities, and he's still pushing it through music like it's business as usual. And guess what? Jay-Z didn't just work with Lior, he looked up to him. In Jay's own memoir, Decoded, he called Lior his mentor, and even quoted him sharing spiritual wisdom from a rabbi about generosity and the 8 levels of giving. Sounds deep, right? But fans ain't buying the act, because for all his power in the game, Lior Cohen's name keeps popping up in controversy after controversy. There's even a wild theory floating around that he might be a CIA plant. Yeah, for real. Some believe he's been placed in hip-hop to push specific agendas and shape the culture from the inside. And it's not just talk. People point to moments where Lior got caught slipping, like that awkward 2023 Vlad TV interview, where he changed up his backstory mid-convo. First, he said his mom was just a housewife, then suddenly her past seemed way more complex. The contradictions? Too many to ignore. To folks like DMX, this wasn't just shady business. It felt like something way more calculated. But later in that same interview, Lior Cohen slipped up big time. He casually revealed that his mother actually worked for the Israeli government. Yeah, yikes. That little detail sent conspiracy circles into overdrive. And it's not just Lior who's been under the microscope. Jay-Z himself has faced serious allegations, accused of being connected to government agencies through his longtime right hand at Roc Nation, Desiree Perez. People have speculated for years that there's more going on behind the scenes with these elite music power moves than anyone wants to admit. Now let's bring it back to Lior and DMX, because the way Lior spoke on X after his death, beyond foul. When DMX tragically passed in 2021 from a suspected overdose, Lior gave a statement to Billboard and straight up called X a gremlin. His exact words, that DMX was reckless and looking for a wall to crash into, and that his death was no surprise if you'd been paying attention. Like, seriously? A man loses his life and you reduce him to some monster who deserved it? That ain't just disrespectful, it's evil, and the audacity didn't stop there. Lior later tried to claim he helped DMX's career, but according to the late Irv Gotti, that was pure fiction. Irv said Lior and Jay-Z used to laugh at X behind his back. They never believed he had the talent or the fire to make it big. Turns out, X proved them all wrong, but even in death, these so-called industry mentors showed their true colors, and it was cold. Now, if we're gonna talk about artists who dared to call out Jay-Z and his powerful inner circle, only to end up dead under suspicious circumstances, we have to bring up the legendary Prodigy from Mobb Deep. And yeah, some folks laugh off the whole Illuminati talk, but Prodigy didn't see it as some wild internet myth. He swore it was real. and way darker than anyone wanted to believe. The beef between Prodigy and Jay-Z, it wasn't just rap drama. It went back to the late 90s and early 2000s, right when New York was deep in its rap wars. Jay later claimed they squashed things before Prodigy passed, but not everyone buys that, because what came out after tells a way different story. A leaked letter from Prodigy, written during his time in jail, surfaced online, and while that letter's been wiped from mainstream media, if you dig through old-school forums and dusty hip-hop blogs, it's still floating out there. And what it said, shocking. In that letter, Prodigy called Jay-Z out directly, claiming Hav knows exactly who runs the game, not just in music, but across society. He accused Jay of choosing to align with the puppet masters instead of speaking truth to power. He wrote that the government, religions, politics, the Federal Reserve, and the IRS, everything people believe in, was a joke. According to Prodigy, it was all smoke and mirrors, controlled by the same shadowy hands. And Jay? Prodigy said he knew the truth, but sold out anyway. Jay-Z knows the truth. That's what Prodigy claimed. But instead of standing up for the people, he sided with evil just to be welcomed into the corporate elite. Prodigy didn't hold back. He accused Jay of hiding the truth from the black community while pushing a lifestyle that serves what he called the beast. And Prodigy wasn't scared. He made it clear he would keep going after Jay-Z, the Illuminati, and every hidden hand of evil in this world until someone finally shut him up. "I fear nothing and no one," he wrote. "I'm fearless because the truth has set me free from the Illuminati's mental enslavement. I've been empowered by God and the universe." Then things got even crazier. Just 5 months before his sudden death, Prodigy dropped his final album, Hegelian Dialectic, the Book of Revelation, and he didn't hold back. That entire project was packed with lyrics exposing secret societies, hidden power structures, and the agendas shaping the world from the shadows. But it didn't stop there. He was reportedly working on a full musical that would take his Illuminati theories to the stage. He wanted to expose it all. And then, boom, June 20th, 2017, Prodigy was gone. Here's where fans started raising their eyebrows. Prodigy had been open about his battle with sickle cell anemia, so people assumed that's what got him. But the official report said he choked on a boiled egg in a hospital. Let that sink in. A man who spent decades dodging death in the streets and battling a brutal disease, suddenly taken out by an egg in a controlled medical setting? To this day, it just doesn't sit right with a whole lot of people. Come on now, a boiled egg? That's the official story? Most people didn't buy it then, and they still don't believe it now. The circumstances around Prodigy's death were so sketchy that his family ended up suing Spring Valley Medical Center in Las Vegas. They claimed the hospital messed up his IV, failed to monitor his oxygen levels, and ignored doctors' direct orders to keep a close watch on him. But even with all that negligence, how does someone choke to death on an egg in a hospital, in a place filled with trained staff, equipment, and emergency protocols? It just doesn't add up, and the streets knew it. For a lot of fans, that egg explanation sounded more like a cover-up than a tragedy, especially when you consider what Prodigy was exposing. He was loud about the Illuminati, secret agendas, and the elite forces he believed were pulling strings behind the scenes. And he didn't just speak vaguely, he named names. Jay-Z, Diddy, and others allegedly tied to those same power circles. So let's really think about this. DMX and Prodigy, two giants who were never afraid to speak out. Both called out the industry's most protected names. Both exposed dark secrets. Both hinted at spiritual manipulation, exploitation, and the forces running things from the shadows. And now, they're both gone, under suspicious circumstances that still leave people uneasy. When you connect the dots, when you look at the names they dropped and the truths they tried to reveal, how can you not wonder if they were silenced for saying too much? Was it all just a tragic coincidence? Or did DMX and Prodigy get too close to the truth? Two fearless legends, both gone too soon, after calling out the biggest names in the game and exposing the darkness behind the flashing lights. They dropped names, revealed agendas, and warned us about the real puppet masters pulling strings behind closed doors. Now they're both dead, and we're left with more questions than answers. Were they silenced for speaking too loud? Or are we just connecting dots that were never meant to be linked? You decide. But one thing's for sure, their warnings are still echoing, and the game hasn't been the same since. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to stay in the loop with all the latest. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update, and I'll catch you in the next video.